It was welcome to Nepal.
Thank you. I'm very glad to be here.
Yeah, this is the first time actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Before starting this talk, I would like to ask you the first thing that what was the first impression about Nepal?
I think just the really relaxed vibe. It's really chill here. Everyone's really friendly, and I mean I'm from California, and we tend to think that we're pretty laid back there, but here it's even more.
Okay,
so, it's cool. I love it.
Thank you, because everyone want to listen the appreciation actually. Okay. To all the listeners and viewers, I would like to request you to introduce yourself first, to whom we are going to talk today, and then we can go in the flow.
Cool. My name's Brandon Ernst. I'm from California, and I've been doing WordPress since 2011. I started building websites for small businesses back then, and recently have started a plugin business in the last few years. So it's totally changed my life.
Okay. Okay. We'll talk about the beauty of doing business. We'll talk about the overall journey as well. First, I would like to tell you that this podcast is Go with WP podcast. We already completed our first season. In the first season, we talk about the journey of WordPressers. We talk with more than 10 WordPressers here in Kathmandu about how they get involved in WordPress, what they are currently doing, how WordPress changed their life, and so on. And all those episodes were recorded in Nepali language. And it was mainly available for Nepalese as well. But in the season 2, we were looking for some ideas what we are going to do for the second season. To be honest, it's really pleasure to have you here today, because we started talking a few years back.
Yeah, we've been in touch for a long time.
Yeah, and I was looking for probably this day, and I was really excited to meet you in person before as well.
Yeah, you too.
And thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your interest to be here in Nepal. Okay, I'd like to start your early days of WordPress. How did you start? How did you jump in WordPress?
Yeah.
Before WordPress, what we were doing at that time?
Yeah. Before WordPress, I was actually in college, and I was working at an Apple store, just selling computers and phones and everything around 2011. And one of the colleagues at the Apple store there asked me if I knew about WordPress. He was a website builder, and so I had never heard of it. And we were hanging out one day after work, and I asked him, "So how do you do this? How do you, And he told me how to buy a domain, how to get hosting and everything, and that really just kicked off the journey. He didn't really teach me much else about how to make a website or anything like that, though. But you learn that the hard way. So since then it's really just kicked off. And one of the other colleagues at the Apple store gave me one of his clients, and so I started working with her, and that was kind of my first initiation into working with clients. And it's something that I've kept doing even while doing other projects or other career tracks in the last 10 years. But in the last 3 or 4 years, I've totally made my web design and plugin business my sole focus. So
as you said, you were working in Apple Store. It's totally different than the web development, right?
Yeah.
But one of your colleagues shared the idea about WordPress, and you started learning it, right? How did you find learning WordPress? It was easy, or there was some learning curve?
Well, I think back then, it was a totally different platform. I mean, page builders weren't even really a thing.
Exactly.
I think they were very early at that point. And I think WP Bakery maybe was around then, or some others, Avada, but it was hard. There was just a lot of kind of tweaking and customization you had to do, and especially when there's little details the clients ask for that, it's well, that's going to take me 3 hours. It'll take you 30 seconds to explain what you want. But I think that's part of the fun, part of the challenge. The creativity is figuring out how to achieve, the most powerful solution you can with the lightest weight, plugin or theme or custom code. It's I think every day is a different day when it comes to WordPress too, and especially when you get into plugin, the plugin business, it's a totally different kind of game where you're serving, agencies and people who are implementing websites. So that keeps it very interesting as well.
Yeah, lots of people. I have so many friends actually. They were not from the technical background, not from any sorts of those web development or something like that.
Yeah.
But they started jumping to WordPress, learn it, and they go and they are making websites for hundreds of clients, hundreds of agencies like that. So after starting WordPress, how many years that you serve for the clients?
I did about 7 or 8 years of just directly working with clients, and I still serve a lot of clients doing website maintenance and hosting and things like that. But I've transitioned much more since about 2019 to selling WordPress plugins. And I think that having that experience, it's a track that many people follow, building websites and then eventually moving into maybe custom plugin development or something like that. And I'm not a developer, so I've hired developers to do all of the difficult stuff for the plugins, and I've focused more on marketing, which I think is not the most typical approach. Most people who do website building or anything will build plugins because they just can do it themselves. So it's been a little bit more costly to kind of get involved in that and start up the business that way. But I have a really good sense of what opportunities there are for certain plugins, having built so many websites myself, and also having lived in China and some other countries as well. The plugins I create are kind of niche plugins for that market as well. So, and I think that all that previous work in WordPress, having struggled through building websites myself, has given me the ability to understand how to provide good customer support for plugins. Like when somebody comes to me, I can tell right away, just by their wording, their language, are they under pressure from a client? Are they, looking for a solution for themselves? What are they really trying to say and get the message across? And I think that is a unique thing that even many plugin business owners don't necessarily have, that they struggle to provide that quality support because they just don't have that experience, But yeah, that's kind of one area I take pride in, and I try to provide a really good level of support for that, for all kinds of cases that people approach me with. So
yeah,
that's what keeps me motivated with it.
One sad but true, there are so many companies here in Nepal, they do themes, plugins, businesses, but I always feel that they have the very good product, very quality product.
Yeah, for sure.
But lack of marketing ideas, marketing skills, good customer support, they are not able to make that much of money, based on the product they have actually.
Yeah.
So developing a product is one part, and marketing, support, top recommendation is totally a different part. And it needs another level of skill.
Yeah.
So sometimes developer feels that I make a product, whatever I can, or whatever I want, whatever client needs. But developing a product is a good skill. It is a primary thing, but still we need to market it. We need to tell the users, tell the customer that this product is better than this.
Absolutely.
This product has these features.
Yeah.
If we are not going to deliver that message to the customer, then your product will be in the trash.
Yeah.
And it's worthless.
I would say that my approach is definitely not the easier approach because I think as a developer, you have an advantage. There's no upstart cost. You can just do it. It's just your time and your resources. Your energy. Which there's definitely a cost associated with that. But it's if you love it and it's what you do, you can just do it without so much concern about that, especially in the beginning. And once you get more sales and everything like that, then sure, you can focus on other aspects. But I think that it's probably a much more empowering feeling for many plugin business owners who are developers and have created their products from scratch, and then maybe later on move out of the engineering side and into the management side. There's a lot of successful businesses that have done that in the space. So, and for me, what's been working particularly well is I'd say just a few basic things, like just writing really good documentation. And I write all the documentation myself. I know all the products, and I'll ask the developers the tough questions if I need to, and get all of that kind of stuff, the API documentation, all of that. I consider myself a technical writer, like content writer, so I write all of that, and that makes a big difference. Like the plugins rank. I create like FAQs both on the website and in the documentation, and then backlink to all of them and everything like that, and then release. I try to release blog posts that I write personally. I'd say as often as I can. Especially in the last 6 months, though, I've kind of been on a backlog with that, focusing on other things, but. And then video is the other area. Even if you just create a few basic videos about your plugin, they last. You're not going to make such massive changes or plug in a theme, but you're not going to make such massive changes to the product within a year that you're going to have to make like all these new videos that totally re-explain it. Like it would be helpful to update videos and things like that, but for instance, I created a video for one of our plugins like 2 years ago, and it's still totally useful. I send it to people all the time, and I think that helps with organic results. It also just helps with the legitimacy that people see when they visit your website. They visit your documentation and they see that you have all these videos through the docs. They'll click to your YouTube channel. That alone, I think, makes people comfortable to buy. And I think that that's probably one thing that a lot of businesses are lacking. Like you'll visit a theme website or plugin website, and they have some basic documentation, things like that. But I think that those are kind of the low-hanging areas that developers can really take advantage of. That's worked really well for me. And social doesn't really work at all for me. Like we have social media pages for our plugins, and I don't think we generate any sales through those pages. But to me, it's kind of like a necessary evil. But I think just the organic stuff, search engine SEO, the blogs, the documentation, the video, that has been the key and really something that I should be doubling down in my investment on.
Nice. Yeah. So, thank you so much for this good insight. Like probably those who are listening to the podcast probably think about that. What are the things that they need to consider to generate the more sales?
Yeah.
I'd like to add one question over there. What do you think that the customer who visit in your site will first look before buying the products? What do you think?
I think that the first thing is that they'll probably want to see like screenshots or video of the product itself, like right up front. Like what do they want to see on their website? Like if you could almost have a demo right up front, like a screenshot of what it'll look like when it's implemented or a few variations. I think that is really, really helpful. And obviously with themes, that's really easy to do as well with the demos and templates. And I think for the theme business in particular, that's probably the most relevant thing. And people will look at the demos and the templates you can import, and that'll kind of probably determine if they're going to buy that product. For plugins, it really depends if it's a visual kind of thing that you can implement. One of our plugins is not visual at all. Like there's no front end change that takes place on the website. It's about domain mapping. And so for that one, it's just much more text based. Like I have to explain the features, and people get it, and I think that it's just a much more kind of theoretical understanding of a product, so it's interesting, other products that we have are more visual. Like I have a payment form plugin, and we have to have the templates and the screenshots on the website for that one, but there's no templates or screenshots I can provide for the domain mapping plugin, So that one I've taken a much more, I take screenshots of the settings to put them on the website, and then I explain what each setting does on the website as the different features, and it kind of just aligns, like the feature set, and going into like what each setting does, that's kind of really what you're selling. So like, to me, that was relatively easy. Like making the homepage, like just going down, like here's the top feature, and here's the second most important feature, and just building a lot of SEO around that, So yeah, it really depends on the product, but it's, and even with non-visual products though, you can still make YouTube videos about how to set it up and everything too. So
at least we need to show the visitors that the website is premium. They have some good appearance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
And I'd say besides the the templates and the demos and everything like that, or the visual aspects of a product, they're going to look for some of the obvious things like testimonials, the reviews. If there's a free version available, I think a lot of people who find a paid product want a free version in the WordPress space. And I know that Alex Denning recently released an article, all about how freemium products, are kind of losing their value in terms of customer acquisition. It's been one of our main acquisition channels. We're not a hugely successful plugin business, so I can only really speak from my experience, but I'd say that if we didn't have the free plugins, we'd probably have like half of our revenue, So I think that if you're releasing a free product these days, it can be enormously valuable, at least from my personal experience. But so that's kind of another thing that I think people really look for is, what can they start with for free? How can they be benefited at no cost up front? We get a lot of people who ask for free trials as well. We don't offer any free trials. But that shows that people want something to test out, to try, that would be valuable if it's a free kind of a product as well.
The pricing pay also affects in the businesses?
For sure. There's all the details. I was head of marketing at Freemius, and one of the really cool things we did was release a template of a pricing page that it's available in Elementor on the Freemius blog. And, it covers like 20, 30 different things or more that, all of the different conversion factors that really help with pricing page. And that's been, that's just a great resource, I think, for any product business. But, when it comes to that kind of stuff, like it's definitely worth investing time on optimizing that pricing page. I think it can be a rabbit hole, though. I think you can spend a ton of time on it, and you may not get as much of a bang for your buck. I think that it makes a much bigger difference when you have a higher revenue, and you're also tracking various campaigns, like paid advertising campaigns and things like that, and also some like a variety of different channels. I haven't invested in any paid advertising or anything, I just don't like it. I just anytime I've done Facebook ads or Google ads or anything like that, it always seems like I'm just losing money. Honestly, like I'll get visitors and stuff, but. And some interest, but it's never really been an effective tool for me. Even for other clients I've served who wanted to do, various marketing and different kinds of paid ads. So I think that if you're trying to gauge customer acquisition and you're using tracking links and all of that kind of stuff, and you have a really, I'd say you're making more than 10 grand a month, then it's probably really worth investing a lot of time in your pricing page. Before that, of course, you want to invest some time, but. I think that you'll probably see a measurable difference at that level. What I do, especially in the last 3 years, like starting with, plugins from scratch, like releasing a free version on WordPress.org and then creating the website myself. I find it really fun and easy. Like I've documented the process of creating a plugin business for myself. So I basically will take a website that I already have and just duplicate it. Change the name, change all the screenshots, change all the text, everything, and it's like kind of ready to go. And you can do that with documentation. You can do that with so many different things. Like just put it up, and it starts getting organic traffic right away, naturally. Especially if it's something that people are looking for. You don't really have to. I'm actually very surprised at the little amount of effort that you can put in on creating a website, and sales will come within a week. Like we just adopted a plugin that was. Taken down from WordPress.org for some policy violations from another developer, and he handed it over to us, and I made the website just a single pager, with just some features about what the plugin does, and like within a week it generated a sale straight from the website, and I had didn't do any other marketing besides buy the domain and make the site. I created some basic documentation. I didn't create any social media profiles. I didn't email anybody about it. Nothing like that. And I was kind of just blown away. Like it's, the money is out there, the demand is out there. And I think if you can meet that, it's totally doable.
Yeah. I have so many questions coming in my head right now.
For sure.
Probably I'm going to ask you one by one because for the first time I'm talking with the marketing expert. Can I say that?
I have some experience in marketing.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I'm the head honcho.
Let me rephrase my sentence. For the very first time, I'm talking with one of the marketing experienced person who already work with so big company like Freemius or something like that. And I have so many questions coming in my head, and probably I'm going to ask you one by one because. Lots of our audience who are watching this podcast probably have some questions in their mind as well, and I'm trying to recall those questions and going to ask you.
Sure.
Those who are trying to start their blogging business for the first time, what do you recommend? Either freemium model or only the premium model?
I would personally do freemium all the time. I personally really connect with people who are starting in the WordPress space. Like I started in the WordPress space with no knowledge, no idea like what I was doing. And I didn't even really know the value of the WordPress.org repository either. Like I didn't really understand that was the central place where free plugins are available. I didn't really know that. I obviously relied on it, and it was the thing that came up on search results most of the time. But I didn't even have a WordPress.org account until like 2018. Which is like, and I've been doing WordPress since 2011. So a 7-year gap. To me, that's really surprising. And I don't know if that's like a failure of marketing on Automatic side of things or whatever. I'm not like trying. I'm not trying to like point say that. But the point is that I think that there's a steep learning curve for people who are getting into the WordPress space. And many people are young, they're new to business, they're serving clients who they've never had experience serving before. So a lot of people, there's a big part of the WordPress community that's like these like newbies really. And I see it almost as a responsibility when I encounter somebody who I can tell is like new to WordPress, to guide them with some key steps, like helping them understand the framework in which they're operating in, and even just giving a hint, like WordPress.org is the best source for all free plugins that you can consider. Like if they're asking me for a feature we don't have, and I might suggest a free plugin, and WordPress.org might be your best resource. And I think that, so I try to personally appeal to the free plugin market. Like I think I have a connection with that, and I think that I take it as a personal responsibility to contribute back to WordPress.org or to the WordPress community in some way. And I think having a free plugin is the best way to do that, And obviously there's a selfish interest there where I also want to make money at the end of the day and grow my plugin business. But the only way I want to do that is by genuinely serving people with a product that they need and can use for their website or their business, Otherwise there's no point in building it. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And so, I think that is, the freemium for me, I wouldn't release a plugin any other way.
Okay.
Or a theme.
So how many plugins do you have right now?
We have about six, and a seventh one in the pipeline. Yeah. And I've partnered with a couple of other developers on their plugins too. So it's kind of like a mutual thing.
Okay.
Them, so.
I'd like to add one question tag in between over here. Like some of the companies usually release only single plugin and work on it, like SEO,
for sure,
like Yoast,
definitely,
Rank Math,
definitely.
Those plugins are like they generally develop one single plugin and work on it.
Yeah.
But there are some companies who usually make small plugins and work in a different plugin.
Yeah.
What do you think? Like that developing a multiple plugin is a good way to go, or developing a single plugin?
I think it really depends on the resources you have available. I can tell you for sure that having multiple plugins does hold us back, like in the resource availability and the ability to invest and just give time to each plugin, So what I'm trying to do is make each plugin or bundle of plugins like its own kind of business, like unique aspect where each plugin has its own core developer, and then in the future I want to have like a core marketing person for each plugin, or for a plugin bundle. One of our brands, China Plugins, is like 3 plugins in a bundle. And so being able to devote those kind of resources to each plugin as its own distinct brand, I think is really what is the key to setting those products apart. I operate under the brand Gaucho Plugins, and so you can visit our website and see all the plugins on our homepage, but that's not where I expect people to land. Like I expect people who are interested in a plugin to find us through Google or on WordPress.org, or maybe social media, but those are the 2 main acquisition channels that I found, and I think that's kind of the best approach that's worked for me anyway.
It means that it's not worth investing in social media?
There is definitely a lot of work investing in social media. You could spend all day on it, but I wouldn't. Like I would spend minimal time on social media.
You don't feel that the ROI, return on investment in social media, is not worth it?
Let me rephrase that. If you're in the early phases, social media I think is not going to make your business grow. Later on, when you have some level of revenue, like you want to have your social channels. It helps with SEO. It helps with the legitimacy of the business. And it's easy to create the pages and put the business information on Facebook, Twitter or whatever. The hard thing is posting and keeping the content organic and all of that.
Exactly.
And that's where it's a rabbit hole. You can just spend all day and you really won't make that much.
Like if you have like limited resources, rather than investing time on those social media platforms, invest that time in like blog writing or making videos. Probably that would be even better, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like devoting a blog post to talking about a whole feature and then linking from that on your homepage. That's going to give you way more value in the long term than I'd say even 100 social media posts.
Yeah.
And that's from experience.
Yeah, lots of fresh graduates usually come to me and ask me, like, what should I do? What are the things that I need to do? And I usually ask them the first question: do you use your social media in your phone or in laptop? And most of them say, I use in phone. You stop using phone and start using laptop.
Exactly.
Even if you are using your social media or like passing time in social media, rather than using phone, use your laptop. Because you can use a multiple tab in laptop. You can use one tab for social media, one tab for YouTube, one tab for at least one tab for like coding stuff or something like that. So that you have some more possibility to explore in laptop rather than mobile phone. Like I said, like rather than investing time on those like silly stuff, I guess, if we like invest more times on blog posts, video making, like or even making like documentation better, I think that would be worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, another question, like lots of people usually ask me, like, is I am one of the lead of themes team in WordPress.org. Probably you don't know. I'm taking care about the themes team in WordPress.org, like all the themes that is submitted in repository.
And I have to say, I mean, the work you guys do is amazing. Like it's not easy. You deal with all kinds of people, and I'm sure they give you attitude and things like that too, and the time it takes. So thank you for the work you've done. I know you've probably reviewed thousands of themes, haven't you?
And lots of people usually come and ask me, like, I'm making a plugin and I'm planning to sell it, and I already have the free plugin ready and the premium plugin ready. What should I do? Do I need to release the free plugin and premium plugin at the same time, or at least wait for some time for the free plugin, at least some like active installs of it, and then release only the premium plugin?
I mean, I wouldn't kill yourself trying to build all the features of your plugin right away and trying to sell it right away either. I'm all for MVPs, and releasing a free version and getting that out there, getting the SEO going, building the website, and adding more features. Even if you add one or two paid features, and slowly start adding that, building and adding to that, you'll see growth. Like it just takes time. But I would not rush into building 10 features and then releasing the free and the paid at the same time. There's no need for that. I would definitely take the approach of releasing the free version first. And even if that means that, your code base is just the free version at first. And then you can with Freemius, you can add paid features really easily, and you'll just get your paid version and free version spit out automatically. So to me, from that perspective, it's so easy to add paid features to a product, especially with Freemius, that I don't see a need to build the paid features up front when they could just be easily added to the product later. And it's going to be more code for the plugin theme review team to review as well, potentially. And just more complexity in your overall approach. What are you dividing up your free features versus your paid features? I would find the one free feature that people are really looking for your plugin, release that, maybe add a few more free features to it, get some feedback, depending on how well you know your market. Like if you know from experience for your own needs, perhaps you're building a product from something you've needed in the past, then you probably know your market pretty well, but there's still a lot of feedback you can get from your users, And I mean, like I said, I've lived in China. I have a brand for 3 plugins that are China focused, but there's still features that I never would have thought of that I've learned from people. And even my experience living in China and building websites in China, that's, there's still always something to learn. So no matter how well you know your market, having the free version on there will give you that resource of learning from the users. often ask for custom projects or some feature that can be added or something, and that will be a revenue driver by itself, and also just a builder of growth in your business. So,
yeah, exactly.
looking for those lighter weight ways to get started is really, really useful. And I'd say, that custom project approach as well, having the free plugin and mentioning maybe in the README or on the website or something, and just saying something like, we offer custom projects. If you're looking for something special, contact us. And that will give you just ideas.
Yeah.
And it also can be a way to fund your feature development. Where you might have a $300 custom project for somebody, and it's a feature you want to build yourself anyway. So you work with them to build that, and maybe it'll cost you a little bit more to build or something like that, or less, and then you can release it as part of your paid product. And and I usually, what I'll do is I'll mention to somebody who's interested in that, okay, if you subscribe for this and then you have a one-time project fee, then we'll implement it right away.
Yeah, at least we need to utilize our traffic in a different variety. Probably if they provide the custom development, probably that will add some cookies in our plate. I think that would be even greater.
Yeah.
Really, we talk about lots and lots about marketing. I'm so much excited to listen in this. Another question I usually get from my friends and colleagues as well, they have the plugin and they are making the pricing bids. I'm back again in the pricing bid.
Yeah, I know.
And they usually ask, do I need to add the lifetime pricing or yearly pricing is better?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was Justin Fairman just released an article about this, and many people in the space talk about lifetime pricing. And to be honest with you, I'm taking the approach with my business that I want to ultimately exit the plugin businesses that I have, and I want to sell them in some way to other developers who will steward them in the long term. I want to grow my plugins and be with them for at least the next 5 or 10 years. It's almost like a second wife or something. It's like my wife will tell you though. But I care about the products that much and the customers who come to us that much, and it's something I love doing. And I think that everyone who's created a successful plugin or theme business will tell you the same thing. That's what drives them at the end of the day, like interacting with people, making that magic happen for projects. But I'd say that lifetime pricing can really hold you back. In the early stages, not so much. It feels like a great revenue driver. And I recently cut off lifetime pricing for one of my plugins because I adopted the plugin about 1.5 years ago, coming up on 2 years now. And I had a lifetime plan available for the whole first 1.5 years, and we had tons of sales. It was about half of our revenue is generated from lifetime pricing on that. But that's a rabbit hole because what I'm doing is just really devaluing my business.
Exactly.
And to me, I have limitations in place per se. People will say that, when you're selling a plugin business, the monthly recurring revenue is the primary thing to look at. Yeah. Subscriptions, all of that. And so if you have these lifetime customers who are going to keep contacting you, it's going to cost, customer support hours, it's going to cost whatever. But I put in some limits on the lifetime pricing that I personally think would kind of assuage those concerns. But I still don't think at the end of the day that lifetime pricing is, beneficial to the value of your business. For example, even in offering lifetime pricing, I put in restrictions, like for our domain mapping plugin. It does have a very high level of customer support involved in it. Like we do get people contacting us because there's server configuration, DNS configuration. And when you get those two things alone, you're going to have tons of questions right off the bat. And so I've created some really good documentation for that, but we get a lot of requests. And with lifetime pricing on that, when you get one sale and it's a good value of money and you help them set up their website one time, that's good. Okay, you've made some money, one-time transaction, you're good to go. It's a year down the line if they contact you again and they say, okay, we're setting up 5 new sites and we need help with that. No way I'm helping you. No matter how much you paid for that lifetime plan, I don't have unlimited time. So what I have said on that website is that we include the support for setting up a maximum of one website with your purchase, and whether that's a subscription or a lifetime plan. And so that has been useful. And I have an extended support page where we offer hourly pricing for helping with setting up if they want one-on-one or hands-on support where we just go in and do it for them. So we'll bill hourly for that. But that's not, a main revenue driver either. Like that's, you want to avoid those situations where you're getting paid hourly. Like that's the whole, in my opinion, that's the whole purpose of creating a subscription-based business, is that your hourly work is not tied to the value of your, of your energy, So, I think that lifetime pricing is if you're looking to raise capital in the first year or two of selling a freemium product, then I'd say lifetime pricing can be okay. But in the long term, you're really going to hold your business back. If I were to continue selling lifetime plans now for the next 3 or 4 years, and then I turn around and want to sell my business, someone's going to look at that and be like, wow, that's a liability. Your business is potentially worth nothing. Even if you have $5,000 a month in subscription revenue, like you might have so much customer support that it's just not reasonable. So those limitations on all the lifetime, sales that I've already had, saying that we'll only help with one setup, is helpful. So anytime they come back, we'll make something if they need help, or we can suggest to them to sign up for the subscription for the latest, for ongoing support, like a year of support or something like that. But typically the hourly, support as an extended option is going to be the best for that. But yeah, I would definitely, overall, my advice on that would be to shy away from lifetime plans, even though it's extremely appealing to try to make that money up front, which can be really valuable for upfront investment, marketing, whatever it might be. But I've seen our revenue decrease a little bit after removing the lifetime pricing, but our product has enough demand now that we are getting subscriptions. And I'd rather have somebody buy a subscription. I may not make as much money up front, but I can be confident that they'll resubscribe for the next 2 or 3 years probably. Exactly. And I'll make almost the same amount of money, or more potentially.
Yeah. So. Even like I have like a few products that I have the lifetime subscription of them, and I'm using and another part is that unlimited site license. I have some products I purchased like a couple of years back, and I'm still using for many of my clients' websites. And sometimes I feel that as a customer, like I really purchase a very good product, like because I can use in multiple site, unlimited site, and like probably I had to pay around 199, 200, something like that, but I'm still able to use that. But nowadays those products are not available for lifetime subscription because they think that our product is really good, really worth it, and people will like renew it or purchase it when they need. And they are nowadays we don't get any chance to purchase their lifetime license. And sometimes I feel privileged that I have that product.
Many people have discontinued the lifetime licenses.
But from the business perspective, if we look those examples, that lifetime is not a good deal. But in the perspective of themes, I guess, because themes is changing, right? The design is changing. Probably selling themes for the lifetime is good to go, I guess.
I mean, I am personally just blown away that, Theme Fusion and Avada have been as successful as they are, through Theme Forest. I bought them, like years ago, paid $60. I probably paid like $300 in support for renewing support over 10 years of asking questions, But to me, like, how is that a sustainable business model for them? I'm blown away. I'm personally, I'm in shock that they're able, and I think it's just because there's constant advertising from Theme Forest. They're doing paid ads. They want to generate the revenue for Theme Fusion, and that's like their number one, product. But I think that they probably would have been potentially much more successful on their own. I don't know that for sure, but and other businesses too, like WPML. I bought their lifetime license a long time. I think unlimited lifetime license a long time ago, and it's. There's other competitors now to WPML that have really popped up and are very tough competitors for that business. But because I have that lifetime license, I tend to go back to WPML, even though it may not necessarily be like the most optimized solution available now or whatever it might be. And I think that's a liability both for me and for WPML. Like I'm implementing a solution on the site where they're not making any more money. If I have any problems, I have to contact them, and that's a big cost for them, and there are frequently questions about WPML. Like WPML is probably one of the most, I don't know the stats, but if you look at the support questions on WordPress.org, there's probably a solid percentage of like 3% of all support questions on WordPress.org or something are WPML related, because it's such a big thing, and it's been around for so long, you know. So I think that you know, I'm just blown away that these businesses have been as successful as they are, and I think that's probably just because of the demand that's been in the WordPress space. Like it's been growing for so long, and there's so many people that want these plugins and everything that the market's just huge. But now, you know, we've seen a major slowdown in a lot of plugin business growth, and you know, represented by the research that Alex Denning has done, and his, you know, the stats that he has available are amazing, and how they indicate, you know, the growth that plugins are not seeing anymore on WordPress.org. And I'd say the same thing. Like even just a year ago, we were seeing faster growth on WordPress.org than we are now, and we're doing more in the way of marketing. We should have more SEO, you know. But it's frustrating, you know, to not have those, you know, to not have understand what you can do more of besides optimizing your README, you know, on WordPress.org. You know, but yeah, I'd say that, you know, I don't want to digress too much, but it's vital, I think, for everyone to have ongoing support for a product. And when it comes to themes, like you asked, you know, eventually the website, if you're taking care of a WordPress website, eventually you're going to update it. Eventually there will probably be some kind of a conflict or bug or something, and you may need to renew that support for the theme anyway. So what I would say, you know, it makes most sense to me to have a subscription for a theme, because you can always cancel it. And if you want to then update it 2 years down the line, just resubscribe. You know, it's almost the same thing as buying the Avada theme on ThemeForest one time, you know, paying like $70 or whatever it is, $60, and then going back and renewing support 2 years later for like $40 or $50. It's almost the exact same thing, you know. And from a customer perspective, that's almost the same thing too. Most consumers won't be as, you know, won't be like actively, you know, thinking about that so much. Like they see a subscription and they're like, no, I don't want a subscription, you know. But you know, I think it's beneficial for everyone, and I like I mentioned before, I relate to like the you know, the newbies in the WordPress space. And so when I was, you know, a newbie, like I didn't want to buy a plugin or a theme, you know, unless I made the client pay for it. But even then, you know, I was trying to look for free solutions. You know, you're trying to piece together the best free thing you can. So you can save money on the project, and the client can save money on the project, and it's just overall the most profitable thing it can be. But it's not really in the long term the right you know, the right approach for your client. You know, and that's what it takes. 3-5 years of building websites for clients to learn that. And you can't just tell somebody, you know, like who's a year into building websites for clients that, oh, it's going to be better for you to buy this, you know, and like get the support and get the benefit. I'm just telling you, it's going to be better, and your client will be happier. You'll be happier. You know,
like you said, like in the early days of my career, like I usually try to find the free solutions.
Exactly.
But these days, instead of looking for only for the free solution, I usually try to find the premium solution where I get the best, like quality products or best support or whatever. Like I don't really care about few dollars, but I always concerned about the quality product that I should get. If someone like I usually ask for like SEO things. In my early days, like I usually tell them like go to WordPress.org and find this plugin, something like that. But these days, if someone asks me about SEO, I usually give them the premium link. Like you need to buy this. Because if someone is getting value from it, if someone is getting benefit from it, they need to pay for it. What I believe, like you said, like instead of lifetime pricing, if we go with the yearly pricing, then at least we will generate some money. But we can give some like discount for the recurring, like you said. So that is a good goal. We talk lots about this marketing stuff. Do you think that? Do you have anything to add in that marketing stuff, and then we can wrap up and go to the next thing?
You just mentioned something interesting, like the recurring, like discounting your subscriptions, and I would never do that. I found it doesn't really work. You know, if you sell a plugin for $99 a year, I expect to pay $99 a year every year. I don't expect to pay, you know, $99 the first year and then $79 every year after that. Typically, as a consumer, I just don't think that way. And I think that most subscriptions do not operate that way. Like Netflix, none of the other subscriptions operate that way. Like major businesses, none of them. And so I wouldn't do that. I would, in fact, I would say if you're going to discount a subscription, either discount the first cycle by some percentage, 10%, you know, 20%, or just give a constant discount, like a 10% ongoing subscription discount. I found that those subscriptions are much more likely to remain subscribed, because if they're somebody who like wants to buy a $99 a year plugin and then they expect to pay $79 a year after that, they're the kind of person, first of all, who wants to save money, you know, and they're probably like, even if it's discounted, they just, I've seen people cancel for some reason, you know, and it just doesn't make sense to me. You know, it's kind of counterintuitive, but it's one of those things where the data shows, the data explains, you know, if people are willing to pay $99 a year or 10% discount on that, they're going to be willing to pay that again next year if they need the plugin and it's providing value. So I would never discount a renewal. I'd rather lose the customer than discounting the renewal, actually, because it devalues the product and it also devalues the relationship. Like, you know, like you have a cost for providing support. You have a cost for building that product. You should get paid for that, you know.
Like if we see some hosting companies like SiteGround, Bluehost, they usually have the discount prices for the first year.
Exactly.
But the price will increase from the next year. But they are still doing the business, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're totally right. And they're the most successful businesses in the WordPress space. Some of them, you know, the hosting. You know,
sometimes I feel that sometimes we like but we devalue our own product sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah.
And probably we think that no one gonna buy my product. My product is not that good as what client is looking for. Probably that is some thinking in our mind, and we usually try to give some discount in the recurring. Do you have any idea what is the pricing model should be for the particular plugin or theme?
You know, I think it's product dependent and it's also market dependent. You know, like if you're, I think that, you know, if you're selling to an agency, you know, they have a lot more potential to spend a larger amount, you know, than a freelancer, you know. So like you could sell a $499 a year license to an agency, and for them, you know, they'll take advantage of it and they'll use it. And, you know, you want those clients. Like those are some good clients. You know, they'll subscribe ongoing. You know, they will love your product potentially. They'll be promoters. So, you know, that can definitely derive a lot of value. You know, but I'd say that rather than discounting a product and rather than offering like fancy ways of like compelling people to buy now, I think it's more important to offer a variety of plans that appeal to like the sub, you know, niches of your market or like the different segments of your market. So a pricing plan that would include some of your, you know, more basic paid features that might appeal to like the lower, you know, the consumer that has kind of a lower price target in mind, the freelancers, you know, but also providing some value for that. And, you know, for example, like having a $29 a year plan and a $99 a year plan. Like you don't necessarily want to miss out on all those people who want like one key feature that is really nice, and you want to have a bunch of those people paying $29 a year, and then you can sell like the more advanced plan for $99. You know, there's all these fancy tricks that you go into 3 pricing plans and you have like a dummy plan that's like priced way higher, or the second plan is priced in some weird way where, you know, you'd rather just pay, you know, $50 more and just get the highest price plan. There's all those psychological things that you can do. I'd say that those would be much more effective for businesses that are making a significant amount per month, like I was mentioning, like at least 5 or 10 grand per month, where you can really experiment and play with your pricing and see what's, you know, what works. But I think for most plugins, most themes that are starting out, especially themes, having one pricing plan for themes is probably the best way to go. That's kind of the standard in the market. And then in plugins, you know, having anywhere from like 1 to 3 pricing plans based on the number of sites, like site activations, and then and possibly based on features. And it really, I haven't really figured out yet either if, you know, having multiple pricing plans with your paid features broken down into different plans is more effective than having all the paid features available in all of your paid plans with a different number of licenses or site activations. That's one thing that I think would be very interesting to find out more about, you know, in the long term, to see which pricing plan, you know, generally, you know, obviously it's very product dependent, but would generally kind of be a greater revenue driver, you know, for business. And I think that the answer would be the feature-based pricing, because I think most people are buying a plugin for one website. most people. And I wouldn't say, I could be wrong, but I wouldn't say that 50% of people who come to your site are buying it for more than one website. I would say that at least half are buying it for probably just one project or maybe 2 or 3. But most people are not going to be buying it for 10 websites, and all that kind of stuff. So, and that's, you make more money, having a higher price plan. And so putting your best features in the higher price plan, to me, seems like it would probably be the most competitive approach.
Probably I have one last question related with marketing stuff. But we talk lots about marketing. Do you like? Do you think that? What? I don't really relate this question yet, but do you think that the good companies should need a good or proper marketing team that can handle those stuffs?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Do you think that a company need a complete marketing team to take their products?
I mean, I think eventually, if you can grow a product, to that level, it does not hurt to have a head marketing person or at least a content marketer to start. I think that it's vital. At some point you're going to need those resources. At least a writer to get started and start. Either writing articles, blog posts, or guest posts on other sites, or documentation. It's too much to take on at some point. Like you have to focus on so many aspects of managing your business. What I love about the plugin business is that it's really like just a mini business of any kind. Like it's a product, and it has its marketing side, it has its development side, it has its research side, all that kind of stuff. And I think that focusing at least some resources on each area of the business is vital. It's necessary. And I think some areas are obviously more impactful than others, and the things you can do in each area are more impactful. But for plugin and theme business, it's been done before. There's templates, there's like consistent approaches that you can take, to creating a plugin business or a theme business and getting it started without a big team. I mean, you just go look at some of the big websites, some of the most successful products out there. I've copied the customer support pages off major theme themes or plugins. Like you just go to their site, the layout is obviously done in a way where they know people are going to want to fill out a form right away, or they're going to want to look at documentation, or they're going to want to open like an official support ticket with more details that's more complicated, So, I'm not trying to recreate the wheel. Like I try to focus on what's already been done and how can I spin it in a little bit of a different way for my business, and I've been able to do that so far all on my own, except for the development side of things. But I haven't really hired any marketing person full-time or part-time or anything yet. But I think that once I do, I'll see a big benefit from that. I think we're at the point now where, especially for my time availability and everything, that having a marketer on the team would make a very positive impact. So I think the answer to the question is eventually yes, once you have the revenue, to do that. But I think in the early stages, like especially before 5K a month or 10K a month, that level, like you can probably do it on your own at the lower levels, and then hire a content marketer, writers, or some other marketing folks that aren't necessarily like a head of marketing role, and get a lot of benefit from that.
Yeah. Okay, I will ask one last question for this marketing section, and we'll jump into another topic. There are so many big marketplaces for themes and plugins in Gaucho, like Theme Forest, like Mojo, Template Monster. There are lots of other marketplaces as well. Do you think that selling your products from those marketplaces is better, or selling from your own website? What do you think?
I've never sold from those marketplaces, so I can't really say for sure if it would be better for my business or not. But I have heard the stories of many other people, and there are successful products on those marketplaces. But I'd say that the successful products that are there are ones that have built those partnerships for a long time, and the marketplace wants to sell more of those products. If you're new to a marketplace now, I don't know how much of an opportunity you really have. And you're also, in my opinion, devaluing your business, because I think most marketplaces don't offer subscriptions. They offer a lifetime license, and then they take 30%, or more. And no way. I would never do that. I would rather, make 50% less revenue and have it all be subscription based, and I manage, at least if it's a free, reseller situation like Freemius, then at least I have more control over the funds, and I'm not so dependent on the marketing efforts of one entity like ThemeForest, for instance. I wouldn't sell. I mean, if I were to go down that route, it would only be for revenue generating purposes and like short term, in my opinion. I don't think that it would be a long term revenue generating benefit overall. I think it would be more beneficial to just invest in your own marketing, your own product, your own website, and make it your own rather than having it be kind of like dependent on this listing on a third party platform. I think you just have more control, and it's hard to say what the future is for marketplaces, and if that's really going to be like the dominating trend in the future. I don't think so. I think it's going to be about having a high quality product and having reasonable acquisition channels, whether that's freemium or SEO or whatever it might be, and just doubling down on the marketing efforts at this point, because the space is so flooded with so many products that if you're not putting time into marketing, you're just never going to get seen. You're never going to grow the business. So, you could make the argument that these marketplaces do the marketing for you and everything in a good way, and that can generate revenue. But at the end of the day, I personally just don't like that lack of control. I did an AppSumo deal when we first launched our payment form plugin, and none of the people who bought it are still using it. Which is interesting. Like we made some revenue there, and there's no real cost to us in the long term because none of those people are really using it now. But it was all just a one-time thing, and the way AppSumo controlled everything and the limitations on the platform, and like I couldn't even get the email addresses of the people who purchased, for instance. And to me, that's ridiculous. Like you need to be able to reach out to your customers.
Exactly.
So in that way, I was like, absolutely not. And sure, I would get their emails if they activated the plugin, but there would be no follow-up marketing opportunity for me. So I didn't see a big long-term benefit to that.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, it probably devalued my business because we had all these lifetime licenses now that people could go back and activate if they want. So I'm only focusing on subscriptions moving forward. And even if it's a slower approach, I'd rather, like the tortoise and the hare, I'd rather, succeed and win the race, even if it's a little bit more slowly than some of the other competitors.
At least we should have control. We should have own control in our customer, like for marketing or like just for feedback, generating something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have some bite and then we can go to the next thing. If Bova is watching this podcast, at first we need to thank him.
Oh, for sure.
Because Bova saved us many businesses here in Nepal. Because Nepal is a country where we are not able to use PayPal. We are not able to get money easily from a foreign country. We only need to bank transfer wire or something like that.
Yeah, which is ridiculous in my opinion.
It was, and we still are not able to make own PayPal, and we can send money to another country. We can receive it from banks, but we are not able to make own PayPal. And we were looking for that type of solution since long time. But when I was checking Ocean WP theme, I was good friend with Nicholas. We haven't met in person, but we usually talk about those stuff. As I am the lead of themes team, so I think
For sure.
we usually chat with him, and I was checking his site, and he's switched from EDD to EDD or WooCommerce, I forgot that, but switched into Freemius. And and he wrote an article in his blog why we switched from these two platforms. And suddenly I struck in my mind, what is this? And I started researching on it. And then I find Freemius, and I chat with him as well, what are the benefits, and he guided me some this. And I talk with my colleagues. This is the platform, it's everything. And I personally run a blog that is called WPEntire, wpentire.com, and I wrote about what is Freemius and how we can set up it and what are the benefits.
I think I've seen that already.
And then I started implementing Freemius in my site, and it was really easy.
Yeah.
I was shocked. Like, we just need to download the SDK, just include that file in the theme, and everything will be handled by Freemius. Licensing, subscription, payment. Like we can easily make different types of pricing plans. Support. Wow. And we are not giving that much of commission to him.
It's very reasonable.
Like for first $1,000, 27%. Until from 1,000 to 5,000, 17, and from 5,000 above, 7%. So
it's really like 10% at the end of the day. For all of your revenue at the end of if you include the gateway fees and the 7% Freemius, it averages to a little under 10%.
But 10%. But what they are caring about, what they do. Like we don't need to purchase EDD license per year.
No.
We don't need to worry about which hosting I need to purchase because I don't even need to build my website dynamic. If I have the static website in HTML, then I can easily put that link in the bottom and I can start selling. For example, if you are not a developer, if you are just doing HTML and CSS stubs, you can also sell those items from Freemius. You don't need dynamic website for that. And I started implementing on my site, and from the first month, the sales was increasing. Oh, that's magic. From that day, I never look back, and I always recommend people to start using Freemius. And probably there are, I don't know the exact number, but there are many WordPress companies using Freemius here in Nepal because they don't need to worry about payment. Freemius send money directly to their bank account, and they don't need to worry about license, renew, everything like card abandoned. There are lots of features. I'm not.
I mean, even some smaller details like recently, requesting reviews on WordPress.org. There's an automated email now that you can request if. Once somebody purchases your product, there's an internal review email request that is inside Freemius, and then if they leave positive feedback there, you automatically get sent another email to leave a review on WordPress.org. I mean, that's like an automated thing that I haven't seen any other business do in the WordPress space.
And there are other premium features as well in Freemius. Like if you want to expand your business, or if you are making good amount of money using Freemius, then you can use their premium features as well for the amplify of your business. But even if you are running the small business, Freemius is a good go.
For sure.
That's why we need to thank him.
Absolutely.
I think that was his own project, but later he switched into the business model. How did you able to join the Freemius? How was the journey?
So I started. As I mentioned, I lived in China in 2015 for about 6 months, and I was building websites for businesses over there, like all kinds of businesses, manufacturers, and a wide variety of industries. And so it was a very interesting experience, culturally and the language and just doing business in China is fascinating. And so that one of the challenges I found as a foreign freelancer, working and living in China, was accepting payment. The main thing that they use over there is WeChat or Alipay. And so it's easy to receive a one-time payment to WeChat, but that goes to my domestic Chinese WeChat account.
I know.
And I would only be able to withdraw those, the renminbi funds into a Chinese bank account. And then I would have to convert that and send it over like a wire transfer. And that did not work I didn't want to deal with that.
You can easily send money from China to another country?
You can, but it's not ideal. The exchange rate is difficult, all that kind of stuff. So at that time, Stripe had just created a partnership with WeChat Pay and Alipay. And so the first plugin that we worked on is called China Payments plugin. And I commissioned WooCommerce integration to allow Alipay and WeChat Pay checkout with WooCommerce. And then also with a payment form, like an embeddable payment form. We also expanded that to have MemberPress integration as well. And looking at other, e-commerce solutions that we're going to continue investing in as well. But that plugin, I was looking for a way to sell it, And interestingly enough, I don't tell many people this, but I'll spill the beans because it's years down the road. I actually, I was looking around I was probably Googling terms like best way to sell a WordPress plugin, and I came across EDD, and I jumped down the rabbit hole of purchasing EDD, and then I installed it, and I got the email with like 30 plugins to download, and I activated on the website, and out of the box, and this was like 2018, 2019, out of the box it was just unusable to me. And I didn't want to go back to like 2011 newbie status of like having to build out and customize my whole e-commerce platform. I just don't have the mental capacity for that, and more just like the frustration involved. I just don't want to deal with it. I already have other clients, I'm maintaining their sites, and to me, it would just be a massive hassle to build and design and ensure the functionality of easy digital downloads. And I think now they've probably made some big improvements, like now you can, I don't know what's available now with EDD. I haven't kept up on it. It's probably easier to get started and implement everything, but so I asked them for a refund, and luckily they gave it to me, which they typically wouldn't have done, and I found Freemius, and I never looked back. And so I started selling on Freemius. I had a developer do the SDK integration for the plugin, and we started getting some sales pretty much right away. And I was looking at the Freemius homepage, and I saw they had a careers section on there, and I'd done WordPress and marketing for small businesses and medium-sized businesses all over the world for a long time. And so I applied and connected with Vova, and did a series of interviews and some like writing samples and everything like that, and we had like a 2-month trial period, and I ended up getting hired. And it was originally for like a content marketer role, but there was no head of marketing at that point in the company, so I kind of slid into the role of head of marketing, and started working with we had a designer on staff, a video producer, a video recorder, video editor, content writers, and so it was really an amazing experience just jumping in with 2 feet and working with somebody who's so inspirational and influential in the space as Vova, and kind of like, slipping under his wing on that, especially going to WordCamps and everything like that. It was really cool to just meet the people that he'd connected with and understand, where the space was at that point in time. And to see how it's evolved since then as well. I mean, with the pandemic, with everything that's happened in the last 3 or 4 years, it's incredible, how much the space has changed, how much the product business has changed, the challenges that have arisen, how it's, and it's interesting having seen that progression from 2011 all the way up to now, like having been a user of the products, and then now seeing like, oh no, I met the founder of WPML, and met the founder of this plugin and all this, and now you can see like it's not just a plugin, it's like a real people behind it, and so I think that is kind of the first opportunity that I had to like engage with the WordPress community and not just be this like individual person in my own fishbowl of WordPress, but to actually jump into the pool where everyone else was, and I think that's something that unfortunately a lot of people, I'd say the majority of WordPress builders and users don't get. Like if you're joining WordPress or starting to use WordPress for the first time, you just probably don't know that there's a community there. You probably don't know how many people are using it. You might think that it's a pretty small, like unknown tool, but it's the biggest CMS in the world, so like, and you just wouldn't know that unless you did the research and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't know that for years, which is kind of, again, like blows my mind. Like if I had just taken, an hour to read some of the blogs and stuff like that, but no, I was just so focused on the projects I needed to implement and spending time on finding the solutions I needed to implement that it probably would have been a lot more impactful for me to like, explore more about the community and stuff early on. I just didn't know. And I think that's what is so special about WordCamp. And, people just don't know about WordPress too much. And, you might see a WordCamp happening in your city or whatever and like walk by it. I've seen people at WordCamp just like walk by and they're like, oh, what's this conference? And then they come in and ask about it. When I volunteered in St. Louis, somebody came in and asked, well, what's this conference? What are you guys doing? And it was interesting. Like I'd done WordPress for 8 years, to try to explain it to somebody
Yeah.
was the first time I'd tried to do that, except for like, family or whatever, but somebody who actually was interested in, learning more about it. So yeah, I think, joining Freemius for me was definitely a life-changing opportunity, and it fit in perfectly with the timing, because I had to sell this product, and I was interested in other products as well. And so I worked with Freemius for a little over 2 years, and it was incredible. I learned so much from the team there, and the main reason I left was really just to focus on my own plugin businesses, and my own plugins. So I just wanted to grow those and kind of invest in myself more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like country like Nepal, like where we are not able to accept payments easily from foreign countries.
Yeah.
I think Freemius is the best solution. Sure. But there are other companies who are based in US or Europe. They easily have those payments gateway, but they are still using the Freemius.
Yeah. But that's not, for me, I mean, U.S. citizen, like it's easy for me to do PayPal, Stripe, but I still choose Freemius, for those.
Why?
For many reasons. I mean, the marketing. The marketing is for me. I don't. I could go through and implement all of the 30 like automated emails that Freemius deals with, but I don't want to do that. And EDD, would allow me to do that potentially, but I'd still have so much tweaking and customization to do. I mean, it would take me months, and I don't have the time. I just don't.
Can we say a sentence like thanking Boba or thanking Freemius? Like why people should use Freemius in a sentence?
Why people still use Freemius in this?
Yeah. Why should people?
Why people? Oh, that's an interesting one. There's so many reasons. It's hard to choose one. I'd say that.
We already talked about the best part of Freemius.
Yeah.
But still, what can be the one hitting notes?
I think when you choose to work with Freemius, you're choosing to work with a platform that is your business partner. More than a marketplace would. Like a marketplace sure is going to implement, marketing initiatives and all this stuff, paid ads maybe, whatever to try to sell your product if there's a revenue generator there. But Freemius has just this inherent incentive to help grow your business. And so if you're, using the platform and you want like a feature, like they're open-minded, they if it's something that will make money, like they'll implement it, and they'll implement it for everybody. And that kind of power is really amazing. Like you don't want to have to spend, it's amazing that a platform can implement one feature for 5,000 or 10,000 or 20,000 developers or whatever, whereas to get that one feature individually for those 20,000 developers, you'd have hundreds or thousands of hours spent for those people to get that feature. But instead, the Freemius team can spend, 10, 20 hours building a feature, and then the whole community benefits. And it's also not just, each individual person in that community, but there's cross-marketing that's happening between plugins on Freemius and themes on Freemius, bundles and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's a community that mutually supports itself too, but I'd say the partnership aspect is the most unique aspect. Like EDD doesn't care if you get a sale at the end of the day, and our ThemeForce does, but not as much as Freemius. You know what I'm saying? Like their livelihood is intertwined directly with your livelihood.
Yeah, exactly.
Like ThemeForce can probably knock out half of their products and be fine.
Yeah.
They could just say, "Oh, we're going to cut 5,000, 5,000 products because you're not selling. We're done with you."
Yeah.
But Freemius would never do that. Like, they want people to join. They want you to sell and be successful. So it's different.
One important thing that we should not forget about that is Boba is also WordPress portion.
I'm sorry?
Boba is also the WordPress portion.
Yeah.
He started his career in WordPress, or he's a WordPress guy.
Yeah.
And he created that platform to solve the problem for WordPressers.
Yeah, exactly.
Themes and plugins.
Exactly.
That's like what the problem that he had faced before, and that platform he switched into services, SaaS solution, because and what WordPress themes or plugins company, themes or plugin developers are facing, and he knows exactly the solutions as well and problem as well. One important thing. And we have a very good community.
It's amazing how well he identified exactly how to solve those problems.
Exactly. And like I said before, there are hundreds of companies, I guess. here only in Nepal who are using Freemius, because the problem that they are facing is totally aligned with Boba.
Yeah, yeah.
They have theme forests, they have other marketplaces as well, but they want to sell the product from their own site.
Yeah.
But they were looking for the ideal solution for that. Time and go to licensing everything.
Yeah.
And while sourcing the platform, Freemius is a perfect fit.
Yeah.
And like, to be honest, Boba saved many businesses, country like Nepal.
That's very cool. I didn't know that. I had no idea. And even having worked at Freemius, and I we kind of made some connections and started like a Freemius Nepal Facebook group and stuff. And I was kind of talking to you guys about doing like a little Freemius meetup here, whatever. I think that I didn't know all that. So I mean, it's amazing, and I'm really happy to hear that.
You need to know that why there are so many Freemius users in Nepal.
Yeah.
Even Nepal is a very small country. There are no many businesses, WordPress businesses here in Nepal, but still, why they are using the popular theme company ThemeGrid is using Freemius. Why? Because that was the reason.
Yeah.
We need to develop our website either EDD or WooCommerce.
Yeah.
But that was a complete maze. If we need to implement one feature, we need to either customize the plugin or need to make the plugin.
Yeah.
But Freemius comes in a package with all the solutions.
Yeah.
And that is why Freemius is really a good platform for us.
Yeah.
But still there are some companies who are making good sales. They say that the revenue, the sharing, Freemius fee is quite more.
Yeah.
They have to pay around 10%, like you said.
Yeah.
That is quite huge number.
Yeah.
But still, the company is doing the decent amount of sales, 5,000, 10,000.
Yeah.
Probably they will not think about alternative very soon for the Freemius.
And I can understand that perspective. And I've heard having worked at Freemius, having used it, I'd say the two biggest criticisms I've heard about possibly switching to Freemius or using Freemius are the pricing and the data, privacy. And I can completely understand not wanting to give 7% additional revenue to a platform like Freemius. I totally get that. Especially if you're already successful on your own, your business is generating sales and everything. The one thing that I don't know, everyone has different opinions on this. For me, it's probably more a qualitative thing than a quantitative thing. But it should be a quantitative measure at the end of the day because it's business and it's about making money and all of that. However, in between both of those, I think that there's a very fine balance that, you can continue operating and growing a business on your own, and you can have a whole team devoted to it, like a person who manages your EDD platform or WooCommerce platform or whatever, or your development team who does all that, but it's going to cost. You're going to constantly be optimizing that platform. You're going to constantly be paying people to deal with that. So you really got to look at the numbers. You really have to look at the numbers. How much are you paying for somebody to build your platform and manage your platform, and for your marketing team to implement all these automations and all this stuff? How much are you really paying? Are you paying 7%? Or are you paying 30 to 50? And that is the question you need to ask yourself. Once you answer that question, then let's talk more about the pricing. The next thing about privacy. And I lived in Germany for 2 years, and that's a great example of one of the most private countries in the world that is totally focused on security and
privacy.
And everything like that. And there are many German people using Freemius, and it's not every German person is so privacy focused and data focused. But my point here is that there's from personal experience, people come up with conspiracy theories and all this stuff. I can't even acknowledge some of that crap because, when I was at Freemius, we had to write this whole document about why Freemius is not a spyware or something like that. And to me, it was just kind of a joke that so many people would criticize a platform like Freemius that's trying to do so much good in the community. There's no other platform that I know of that is trying to help product owners in the way that Freemius is trying to help them, hands down. If you can find me somebody else, I'll give up. But there's no other company in the WordPress space that is working to help product owners just like Freemius. And that's not necessarily related to data and privacy, but there's literally nothing nefarious going on behind the scenes. Like I know Vova personally. Like he and I became close friends. Like, and I'm not trying to like justify or validate him or all that. But to me, it's just such a joke that people like run to these conspiracy theories and stuff. Like, why not criticize like theme forests? Like they're probably just as vulnerable from a security standpoint that Freemius or any other tech platform is. Like all of the reasonable measures are in place to protect data and privacy at Freemius. And they're an Israeli company. They're the leaders in tech security in the world, in Israel. And, to hear stuff like that to me is just a joke. So I write all that off. And you can tell me anything you want about data and privacy, and I'll risk it with Freemius. Like it's going to be just as risky to use Google Analytics or use any other major platform that's going to like collect private data in some way. So I don't know, those two, that criticism of the privacy thing to me is just a moot point. To me, it gives you data and insights that are just invaluable as a plugin business. And you can get those and, collect that data yourself, but you're going to have a much harder time doing it. And, your resource necessity to be able to build the same kind of thing is just going to be beyond most people's capabilities, So yeah, I mean, I'd say, and I don't really know too many other criticisms. I mean, I know some other criticisms of Freemius, but those are the two. And I think that it's a company that could potentially work for almost all plugin and theme businesses. However, there are definitely those that are very successful that should not be giving 7% of their revenue, to any other company because they already know what they're doing. They're the leaders in the space, but that's like the 1%. And there's 99% that would stand to financially benefit from using a platform that's as cost effective and as beneficial as Freemius.
Yeah, I think we can talk more about Freemius because Freemius is a really good platform, and as we are using Freemius like in our businesses, and I think it's worthy to talk at least few minutes regarding the Freemius. And lastly, thank you, Boba, for making this platform again.
Definitely. Big thanks to Boba on that for sure.
And like probably this thanks is not from our only. Probably like we are giving thanks from all other Freemius users who are happily using Freemius. So before wrapping this podcast, like we talk about marketing, we talk about what you do, we talk about like community things, we talk about WordCamps, essay as well. Probably like lots of people are saying that WordPress is in the saturation point in this time. And another thing is that WordPress is really changing rapid, like Gutenberg, and then like full-site editing, blog themes, lots and lots of stuff are changing. And WordPress is using like React, something like that. Do you think that WordPress is in the saturation point, and where do you see WordPress in 5 years?
I mean, absolutely WordPress is in a saturation point. I think you'd be pretty ignorant not to understand that. The market is full, and there is almost every functionality out there is possible already. There are definitely not things that don't exist, and new platforms coming out all the time, and plenty of opportunities too, though. So I mean, to say it's saturated is not, it doesn't mean that new entrants cannot come into the market. There are definitely big opportunities for people coming into the WordPress market, and it may be harder. It may require doubling down, tripling down on marketing from the beginning rather than focusing on other areas. Whereas in 2010, 11, you could have released a plugin and you would have been like 1,000 installs in a week, month, 2 weeks, 2 months. But now, you shouldn't expect, even 100 active installs after a month or two. It just really depends. And so I'd say that, the market is definitely saturated, but I wouldn't let that phase you if you're trying to grow a plugin or theme business. I would just focus on the things that are proven to work really well and give those the best possible shot that you can. And if it's not working, then it's probably a lack of product market fit. and there's probably something missing. Either the name of your product, something as simple as the name of your product, maybe the branding, how it's being presented, or the fact that it's just not widely needed. Maybe a niche product in the WordPress space. There's a variety of reasons why you might not see growth, but I think plugins are needed, and if you can connect with the people who are visiting your site, if you can connect with the people who are finding your plugin on WordPress.org and get that out there, then you should be able to grow a successful business. The one other area that I kind of want to mention too that's been very helpful for us are guest posts. I've actually worked with like Cloudways and published some blogs on external sites, WP Explorer and some others. Guest posts are also extremely effective. So if you can, at WordCamp, build partnerships with like yourself, like WP Entire and other major blogs, especially hosting companies. Like hosting companies have a big incentive to talk about plugins and themes and everything that would be good on their platforms. That's also been a very successful driver, and that helps SEO. That helps. They do marketing on their side, natural, organic marketing. So there's no they don't expect anything in return except for you to provide a high quality article. So that that's kind of one of the areas as well that should be focused on in addition to the areas I mentioned before. But in terms of, and so doubling down on all those efforts, I think is just hands down, if you're not doing that, you're going to struggle far more than you would have 10 years ago. In terms of where WordPress will be in 5 more years, I think that there was a big growing pain with Gutenberg and full site editing. We're all aware of it. We've seen the complaints. We've seen the 2-star rating on Gutenberg plugin. And so yeah, and I thought Gutenberg was shit when it first came out, like everyone did. Yeah. And that's okay. I think WordPress was also not the best when it first came out.
Yeah, exactly.
But look where it is now. And, I think overall, WordPress is definitely headed in the right direction. I think that the ability to I kind of, after looking at it more and analyzing it, especially from a plugin standpoint, I kind of see the vision where they're trying to take it, like where you can jump in and just start editing everything on the site. Like it's like how it should have been when it first started. Like I remember, going through and like having to deal with widgets. And I was like, what the hell is a widget? Like, and I understand the generic word, a widget is like just a random thing, but to me, the concept of widgets and everything, and understanding that and grasping how they were used, it was just very theoretical. And like, I obviously understood it at some point, they go on the footer or they go wherever you want them to on the sidebar, whatever. But it was weird that you had to go to the appearance widgets area and then like your theme had to have widget sections and then pull in those widgets into those sections on the theme and display that content dynamically. Whereas it would have been nicer to just go onto the homepage, and just like click the widget and change the widget type, which is what you can do now, And so I like that. I like the goal. I just think that how it's implemented from a like literally the user interface just needs like really some nice tweaks, in my opinion. I think if we can just get over that hump of that WordPress has almost always had this terrible user interface, then it will be a totally big game changer for WordPress. Like Wix and Weebly and all these others have tried to make this like same thing that WordPress is doing now, And they've done it okay. They also have glitches though. Like you go try to build a Weebly or Wix site, it's a pain. Like it's not always easy. You can import a template, but then you want to make some changes, see you later. Like you're gonna need to hire somebody or it's not as easy as it should be. And it won't always look good either. Like it might look a little funky. You might get your goal, but it'll look a little bit weird. Sure, WordPress has a lot of those same things, but it's inevitable that WordPress needs to have an out-of-the-box page building solution. Like it's inevitable, and so I think that overall it's going in the right direction. I think in 5 more years it's going to be easier to use Gutenberg and full site editing. I don't know what it'll be called, but it's going to be easier to build in the new method of WordPress. And it's also going to be totally different how people use and engage with plugins and themes. I mean, looking at blocks, to me it's so interesting that you can search for blocks now. And I find it a bit frustrating that like you have to know to search for blocks, and it's like this hidden index. Like on the plugins page in WordPress dashboard, you search all the plugins, it shows just pagination. You can go through all of them. But in full site editing now, if you drag a block onto the page or something, or you want to add a block that you don't have on the site, it's actually a plugin and it's installed like a plugin in the background. But you have to know to like search for that block or search for any block in general that's supposedly on there, hidden in the background. And then if something comes up, then you can install it, and add it to your site. So the way the like acquisition of blocks now, or plugin blocks or whatever, is not, in my opinion, as clear and transparent as it should be. It's not as accessible as it should be, so it should be really easy to know like what blocks are available. Just like plugins, there should be like a block page in the WordPress dashboard, in my opinion. Or at least a more navigable block builder tool where you can search the blocks available in a much easier way. And so hopefully that area, I'm sure that area will get cleared out and improved, and so that it'll be easier to find the blocks, and there'll be a wider variety of blocks at that point too. So overall, I think that it's going in the right direction, and if you can take advantage of those trends right now, if your plugins, most plugins should have blocks, or at least interact with blocks in some way. I think that's all going to keep your product relevant, and it's going to keep your product being used in the future. I don't know if at some point it seems like blocks will be the dominant thing, over plugins. I mean, they are technically kind of the same thing, if you will, but from a technical standpoint, they provide additional code to the website functionality and all that. And in terms of themes, that's also very interesting. You've kind of seen this like downturn in the themes market, and it all comes back to not necessarily just like the newbie WordPress developers, but it all comes back to the implementation side, the website building side of things. And being able to implement a theme is almost, unfortunately, always down to like the demo import, and so it's going to be about templates, and all that kind of stuff moving forward, and like the patterns that they're talking about. I don't think it's going to be so much about like buying a theme and having like a support team behind the theme and everything like that. It'll be interesting to see what happens to like Avada, in 5 years. Like, I'm sure people will keep buying it because they have nice demos that you can import, and you can build a site in like 2 minutes with a theme. But will you be able to do the same thing in other ways too? Without having to pay and or even better. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting, for the theme market in particular, it's going to be very interesting. I think they're going to have to focus much more on how adapting to patterns and everything. And obviously plugin developers are going to have to adopt to blocks and this kind of new approach. But if you can take advantage of those trends, I think you're going to be well suited to succeed in the next 5 years as a plugin or theme developer.
So I think WordPress.
And I think one other thing I hate to interrupt, but I think that will separate the market from successful product developers versus the unsuccessful ones, or the ones that should either move on or rethink their products or whatever it might be.
Yeah, WordPress is still like welcome new developers. WordPress is still welcome new entrepreneurs in the WordPress industry. 43% of the wave is like really good place where you can start your career or start making the products.
I think the bar is just higher now.
So I think one recently WordPress removed the active install growth of plugin.
It drives me crazy, man. I use that all the time.
How did you see that?
I think it's ridiculous that WordPress is structured in such a way where you have like a small number of people making these changes that are going to impact thousands of people. They need to have a democratic method of voting on these changes. And I guarantee if they put this one to a public vote, it would have been downvoted right away. And they would have said, instead of cutting it out, think of a better solution first and then implement that. Rather than cutting out something like this where it's like, there's 5 people that think they're not being used, or can back up that opinion with some data and say, it's either inaccurate, nobody's checking it, whatever the reasons might be for taking that down. That kind of change wasn't necessary. I don't understand. I don't know what argument you can make that was a necessary change to make. I don't think that was necessary in any way, shape, or form. I think it was just a rash decision that wasn't really thought through as well as it could have been. And unfortunately, I think that the WordPress organization is structured in that way, where there are a small number of volunteers and people who make big decisions like that. And it's not really to the best benefit of everybody in the ecosystem. And to me, that's really disappointing. I don't know. I have certain I'm a bit frustrated with how things are because I think that there just needs to be more public discussion around them. Like it's just unreasonable to me that people are making these decisions, either for whatever reason, without there being enough public discussion. And that's what's needed. Show me the discussion about that topic before you make the change, and don't create all this like WordPress drama. Like we all love the WordPress drama. Like now it's funny, the remove the active installs chart, the week later all the newsletters are talking about the active installs chart. So it's like, can we have a month or 6 months where there's no drama in the WordPress ecosystem, where there's just well thought through and good changes that come about? And like, show me a 6 to 12 month period where WordPress has been updated with things that are not controversial. And I get that like many things you're implementing are controversial, like this WebP format stuff, but there are smart ways to implement them. Like, don't make WebP the default and force everyone to do it. Make it an optional thing. And if you're installing WordPress, you can say, we recommend WebP as the default. Do you want to keep it enabled? And easily be able to disable it. Like, why, to me, why can't these simple discussions around implementation be happening? Like, I don't understand that. So it drives me a little bit crazy. So I just let go of all that crap because I can't really I just have a strong opinion on it, and I just think it's a little bit not well thought through how things are implemented.
Yeah, like I was following that Twitter discussion threads over there, where founder of WMeer tweeting in Twitter.
Yeah, Mark's an amazing guy.
And I saw a reply from Matt, and he said that even if 10,000 of people come here and comment in this tweet, then it's not the 1% of the total WordPress users. So that is a totally no. So we just want to share our thoughts, what they're doing, but it should be the democratic way. People should vote, or at least people should have platform to give their opinion regarding that decision, because that is the major one.
Absolutely. I just thought of this right now about that comment. Why not? WordPress.org is the most basic website online. Not most basic, but it's all public. You can see it. It's simply structured. And to make changes to the platform, I think, like I mentioned, should go through some kind of democratic process where they gather opinions about a change. So instead of just cutting out the active installs chart, why don't you put a little notification above that that says, is this page useful? What do you think? And keep that up there for 6 months before you make the change. Think about what you're doing to the millions of people who are using WordPress, before you just make a change that's going to affect everybody. And I get Automatic has, private incentives. They need to make money at the end of the day. They're funding a public entity and all that kind of stuff to, the nonprofit. I don't really care how it's structured at the end of the day. I don't care if you're making money off WordPress or not. I care that you are taking into account the opinions of all the people using the platform. And so a simple method like that, is just so smart.
Do that chart really affect the end user?
Well, that chart in particular, no. But you're talking about a change like WebP. Put a notification in the WordPress dashboard, what do you think of making WebP the default for images on WordPress? And make it a Google form. Collect data for 6 months. WordPress can do that. That's a simple, lightweight way of collecting data, creating discussion. To me, that's a highly innovative way to contributing to the community and giving them the opportunity to form the discussion, rather than making this arbitrary change and then having all this fallback. Why do you want to deal with that fallback? Get the data first and make the decision based on the data. And forgive me, I'm a little passionate about it, but to me, there's a decision-making process that you must be blind if you can't, open your mind to the opinions of other people before you make a decision.
Matt was saying that chart, particularly for that chart, it is not affecting the end users.
No, it's not.
And WordPress is for the end user, not for marketers.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. And it may be inaccurate, that's okay too, but it's there. And it's the best thing that was available at that point in time. And if you want to make it better, gather the data or talk about it first and then make an improvement to it rather than just cutting it.
Okay. It was a nice talk, actually. I think we talked around 2 hours. That is really amazing. It was nice talking with you.
You too.
And we talk about many stuff. So, how long will you stay here in Nepal?
I'll be in Nepal for about 3 weeks. Doing a 10-day 10-day trek to Mardi Himal, and then just exploring for a few days after that, and then heading to Thailand after this.
Okay, have a nice stay in Nepal.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for your time. And
Thank you.
It was nice having you here.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ganga.